Hey guys, I don't know if you knew it or not, but we actually do sell t-shirts here for the YouTube channel. Now, I know you guys may like being nude, but here in the real world, we like wearing clothes. And what better way can you do that? By buying one of our t-shirts. So go to teespring.com and pick any of the shirts that you see us wear on the show, and you can be like us, not nude. Hi guys, welcome to the Rule of Two, where the Star Wars news saga continues. I'm Terrence.
I'm Art.
And we are back again to talk about another episode of The Mandalorian. And I know what you guys were thinking. Well, you didn't talk about episode 3 or 4.
This is a recap of all that.
This is a recap of all of that.
Yeah, due to COVID.
Sure, that's what we're going to go with.
We're going to go with COVID. Restricting some of the appearances.
Okay. So, where do we start? How do we start this?
Well, first of all,
see episode 3,
let's start off with this.
Okay.
Let's start off with this. Dave Filoni is a genius. Dave Filoni is pretty much carrying Star Wars and reviving it.
Okay, because of Chapter 5 and the Jedi.
Well, just period. Because of the Clone Wars, what he did with the animated series, Rebels. Then he had a few shorts that he was either producer, writer, director of.
Okay.
And now because of the Mandalorian.
So he has been the creative force behind most of the non-saga films for Star Wars.
He's creating the new canon for Star Wars for Disney.
Okay.
And I think he is tying up and creating a continuity for the entire series that we lacked when episode 9, or really episode, what is it? 7, 8, and 9 came out.
Yes, 7, 8, 9.
Okay. More 8 than 7.
So
that's the debate on
that's
itself.
debatable. That's debatable. Everyone knows by now how much I feel and loathe Force Awakens.
All right, but back to the Mandalorian, sir. Back to the Mandalorian. So you are praising Dave Filoni's job for the series overall.
By far, yes.
One of his, well, if we jump ahead to Chapter 5, it's Chapter 5, right? It's Chapter 5. The Jedi, this is the episode that he got to direct. This is actually one of the longest episodes of the season that they've released runtimes for.
Yeah.
And we got to see his total influence as far as the show goes. And how did you feel about the Jedi episode to begin with?
The way even it started off, just from the get-go, I love the feel. It was something that everyone was looking forward to, the fans.
Right.
Those of us that had kept up with Clone Wars and Rebels, we were really excited to know what's happening with Ahsoka.
Right.
Right. It was something that nobody ever talked about. It was like, when the show first came out, and all these things are now starting to come together and piece. So the way it started off with the scene, it really, especially with the fog, the mist, the cinematography.
All right, so we're talking about bringing Ahsoka back. That
it just
didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you didn't, but you did.
but I did. So bringing Rosario Dawson in just for Ahsoka before we get really into the episode itself. How did you feel about her interpretation of Ahsoka on screen? Since you're more of a big fan of Rebels and the Clone Wars than I am, we had this debate. He's more of a fan of these two properties than I am. For me, Ahsoka was just a character. How did you feel about seeing her realized on screen?
I try to reserve any, and based off my how I'm going to view something, based off preconceived, like, I don't like this actor, I think they're going to do a poor job. I try to refrain from really letting that control my biasness. I try to go in unbiased, and I think she did a great job. I mean, this is not the Ahsoka that it's a young Padawan. This is already, she was betrayed by her master, right? She's been let down. She's been cast out of as a Jedi Knight, right?
Right.
So this is a character who's just still wielding the Force, but trying to do good. That's what she always wanted to do.
Okay.
She didn't have bad intentions, or it's just her intentions were always just to do good, and she was going to try to do it her way.
Okay.
So I think she did, her character, the way she portrayed it, was an older. She's not she's not known for being athletic and doing all these crazy fight scenes or whatever.
So when we get into as far as like that scene itself that you were once discovering, you felt like we'll talk about that. But seeing the makeup and stuff with Rosario Dawson in it, do you feel like she looked the way that?
Oh, definitely. I think she nailed it. The look, the everything. It was just perfect. I don't think. We can always nitpick here and there, but I think overall, I mean, she looked like an older Ahsoka that we saw from in the animated series.
Okay. All right. So that was our big spoiler of the show itself. To tell you that
Rosario Dawson was
appeared as
Ahsoka.
But getting into the episode itself, so we have the Mandalorian and we have Yodi. going to the planet.
Grogu. Now we know it's Grogu.
Going to the planet to find the Jedi, which turns out to be Ahsoka. It does open with such a great action scene. I'd probably say one of the best action scenes that they've done for at least this season of The Mandalorian.
Oh, by far, yeah.
Introducing us to a Jedi, and a Jedi as lethal as she seemed to be. But the cinematography of that action scene itself, like you were saying, with the mist and the darkness, having her lightsabers be the only thing that's illuminated in the dark, and kind of seeing almost like a Batman-esque feel.
Yeah.
It's like where they're nervous and they have no idea what they're getting into, and then just kind of get chopped down. We also got to see more uses of Force abilities. I mean, with the Force push and stuff like that, but how she used it and slicing through things and then using them as objects to propel at her enemies, is the words I want to say.
Yeah.
How else did you feel about that scene?
Oh, well, the use of the fog, the use of leaving it up to a mystery, it gave a feel for...
Yeah, they held it back to when you actually got to see her in makeup and costume.
Yeah.
It was like...
It wasn't just a, bam, it's in your face. It was more, they built up the suspense, and then when they presented her, it wasn't like a big explosion. It was just an explosion for you. Like, it was like, oh, wow, that was awesome.
Right.
But it wasn't over the top.
Right. So then... a
grandiose entrance is what they didn't do that, which I'm thankful for.
So then she mows through everybody and she goes to the crime boss, of this town that's taken over, gives them the ultimatum that's like, hey, release all these people or I'll be back, which was her Terminator moment. I'm gonna come back.
It was already better than Dark Fate.
It was already better than Dark Fate. So then she leaves and then we get the Mandalorian and Yodi arriving onto the planet. I'm not saying Grogu. So
you just did.
I know. That'll be the last time you hear me say it. So arrive on the planet, obviously runs into this crime boss itself, and he gets his next mission because he's kind of dealt with I show up someplace, somebody needs me to do something, and then I have to go out and do it.
Quid pro quo.
Right, exactly. Trump knows that. So so he goes out, but he's there to see the Mandalorian. He's there to find this particular Jedi.
Yeah.
So we get it. Their meeting between the Mandalorian and Ahsoka. How did you feel that went?
You know what? That's the one part of the scene that I felt the scene was a little forced.
It felt very BVS-ish.
Yeah, it didn't feel as it was an organic conversation and a build-up. It was more like, okay, we have to put these two together. Now let's create this dialogue. And it wasn't so...
Kind of very comic booky where like you have to have like, we don't know why, like I said, BVS. Like, we need to fight just because we want to do some fan service to see these two fight, but we don't really have a reason to fight. And if he'd have said what he said at the beginning of the fight, they wouldn't have had to fight.
Yeah, exactly. This, you know what it reminded me of? All of Warner Brothers DC movies.
Okay. I mean,
where you put the actors, the main stars of that show or that movie together, and we have to build it just so we can get along.
So would you have been happy if they hadn't fought? If it had just been like a Quentin Tarantino, like just cool dialogue scene?
Yeah. Yeah, more of a discussion.
I want to see fight.
Well, it didn't have to, because it didn't feel. That was the one part of the episode that just felt, it didn't feel organic, as the rest of everything has been going. Okay. All the dialogue, all the interactions with all the other characters. This one is the one time that it just felt like we have to do this to get to point B.
Okay,
but wouldn't that be a holdover from the previous episode where the girl told him to go and find Ahsoka Tano?
Yeah. So hang on a second. So this is where I was going to jump back to episode 3, when we actually got to meet Bo-Katan.
There you go. I thought Yucatan.
Yucatan. So Bo-Katan, and I felt like that was a forced scene. That whole episode to me felt forced, and for you as a more of a
aficionado.
Thank you. You were like, oh my God, this is so great. Well, she's in live action, and I felt like this is all forced. It's like none of this episode mattered, and all it was just him showing up to get a name to go someplace else. So You sat through a full 30 to 40 minute episode with no point but to say go here. A 5-minute scene was forced to you.
So we know that you always view this with a negative light because you are.
I won't.
Because you like to have an answer right away. You don't like a build-up or suspense.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Neither are you a fan of the Clone Wars. Have you watched all 7?
No, I have not. Sir.
Seven seasons.
I have
How
not.
about Rebels?
I've tried to watch Rebels, and I couldn't.
So therefore, you
Rebels.
didn't really know the build-up or the history of Bo-Katan.
Okay, very true.
Right.
Very true. I was aware that Bo-Katan was a character. So when it turned out to be Bo-Katan, and by the way, when we're talking about Episode 3, it is like the likeness, just like we were talking about Rosario Dawson, the live-action interpretation of Bo-Katan, I thought was spot on.
Well, and the reason why another reason I loved Episode 3 was when they take off their helmets, right? We had, so in the series, when we see all the Mandalorians, right? They're in their armor, they take off their helmets in the Clone Wars. And then
we were trying to explain.
Yeah. Then we see season 1, he's like, I'm not allowed. We're like, what? How are they gonna piece this together? This is not making any sense. In the long run, now we understand. Okay, these are the children of the Watch. Death Watch. We don't know because of the horns. She had the Smith in Episode 1 and what is it 3? The leader, or I guess the clan leader of their of them had horns on their helmet, right? Okay. So in this point,
so
are these the children of the Death Watch? Were these people that followed Darth Maul once he took the Darksaber? And we had all these questions. Now this is tying. That's why I said for me, when I watched that episode, it wasn't forced at all. It's tying in a lot of the things.
Tying into that. Well, for me, watching Mandalorian versus Ahsoka was tying in the fact that now stuff's got real. So stuff's kind of exciting. And with me even knowing the fact that it was going to resolve itself, I was hoping that it didn't take like the whole episode to resolve itself. The fact that it resolved itself into a brief fight. But it was a cool way to see Rosario Dawson's character, or Ahsoka's character, be able to do more and how it would look like in a fight with the Jedi versus the Mandalorian, since they were back in the day lifelong enemies. So I like that part of it. So moving on into the episode, he gets to sit down and talk with Ahsoka, and she does a kind of like Vulcan mind meld with the Force, and was able to speak to Yodi.
Grogu. No, you're the only one. You're the only one.
And find out information.
These two, the non-2 fans, called
and the
Grogu.
The rest of the internet is not accepting Grogu.
And the internet does not accept Yodi. It was Baby Yoda. Or the child.
Baby Yoda was stupid. But anyway, yes, man, you had a question. I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, no, I was one of the ones that said Yodi.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
right
the
there.
2 non-fans of the show.
Right. Big fans.
So we got a lot of exposition to kind of tell us all the stuff that we've been waiting to hear. Did you feel like it was? Well, I'll go first. I felt a little cheated by the fact that he didn't get to discover this on his own. He basically just showed up and somebody was like, "Here's all the answers that you needed."
Yeah, well, the Force.
The Force.
If we're expected to believe,
the Force answers everything.
If we're expected to believe that,
and forced down our Force,
and it was shoved down our throats for episode 7, 8, and 9 that the Force mysteriously answers every question, then yes.
What do you mean by that, Terrence?
What do I mean by the fact that so we're basically halfway through a second season.
Right.
So the first season we're like had all these questions in regards to Grogu. We have all these questions in regards to Grogu, and then in one Force talk, here's all your answers. Mandalorian discovered none of this stuff on its own.
Nobody mentioned Jedis before.
I know, but
until towards the end.
But that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that
but the Jedi
if you go on a journey, right, and you're like, I'm going to find this information out. I'm going to find your people. I'm going to find who you are. I'm going to get some introspective on you, right? And then on your long journey, you come with one person that's like, oh, here's everything.
Yeah,
you feel like you could have.
Well, how would you have known?
No, but you yourself didn't discover anything.
How would you have known if there's no way to communicate?
You have to go on the journey to get your answer.
The journey was to find somebody who knew everything.
Yes.
No. The journey.
And you got it.
The journey.
But she didn't know everything because she saw the conflict within him and the potential of the dark side.
I mean, technically, she did know the answer to the question that she left him with.
What was the question?
Was like, who saved? We'll get to that. But it was like she only gave him just a little bit of just the questions that we had going into both the series and the season
here's the
itself.
deal. The show answered all the questions that the show brought up.
Okay.
You want answers to the questions that
No,
you have.
that's not what I want. What I want is that I wanted
See, this is why he's not a fan.
Din Djarin, I wanted him to be like, oh my God, look, I figured out where you came from in this text, this jet. Who cares?
Here's the
He
deal.
doesn't need to be a Jedi to figure out
Here's the
somebody's
deal.
name.
No, here's the deal. He was tasked to take him to someone of his own, right? Then he found out it's a Jedi.
Okay.
Now let me find a Jedi. I found a Jedi. Okay?
Okay.
Happens to know.
Everything.
Well, who was able to communicate with him because they haven't had real communication.
Okay.
Only him talking and Grogu either answering back in cute little faces or trying to eat eggs.
Okay.
That's all we know, right?
Okay.
So he was able to commune with the Force. He's still an infant or a young child who is unable to speak
50 years old.
and articulate his own words, right?
Right.
So he meets a Jedi. The Jedi is able to communicate and answer the questions that the show brought up.
Okay.
Not that you brought up.
Okay, so we'll let that go as
The
it is,
show.
right?
So here's the deal with the part where I think this is why it's Dave Filoni once again is tying everything together. So he was tasked, or not he. Ahsoka tells him that to go to Tython, right? Now,
Well, we're jumping way too far in the episode.
Okay.
Okay, so so we find out the name Grogu. We find out like she's trying to quasi train Grogu, and then she feels like some what's the word I'm looking for?
reservations, hesitation.
Reservations that he's not comfortable with her.
Yeah.
But he has shown that he's comfortable with Din Djarin, and that when asked if he could train her, she was like, if he could train Grogu, she's like, no, you can't train. But if that's the case, nobody's gonna be able to train.
Why is she hesitant?
Oh, because of she feels the fear and
Exactly.
Basically, she's
like-
repeating the line that we told to Anakin when he was small.
So her reservation is I don't want to do this because of I'd rather her
Of going through
being betrayed.
Of what an attachment can do to a fully trained Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
Right.
So but if
by
she's
the way,
like,
they
hey,
make very bad decisions because it was like, hey, I don't want to train you, but I know that right now you have power within the Force. I'm just gonna leave you to your own devices. I know you could go way left because we've seen it. We've absolutely seen it. But I'm not gonna do anything. You figure it out.
no. I think
You figure it out.
I think that's a poor misinterpretation of what she
By
says.
the way, we don't take at-risk kids to just say, "Hey, go."
She
figure it out."
said, she said,
We
as many
train them.
as
We
many
teach
Jedi,
them.
as many Jedi, they can lose their connection to the Force, and it fades out if they don't keep on.
Go ahead.
Well, you also have to remember how much of a tie she had with Anakin as his Padawan, and then to go through everything that they went through together, mission after mission, after disappointment after mission and disappointment and so forth, and then see
It's a great point.
he became, and then actually face him.
He didn't become that as a kid. He became that as an adult based on a situation that he had.
Oh,
in
you're
front of
right.
him.
So children that aren't abused, it
But
happens
before
later.
then,
They should
what was
understand.
all the great stuff that he did before that?
But
Yeah, I understand that, but remember, she wasn't around.
I
him.
can't predict if you're gonna go ahead and commit a crime later.
But she's-
and I have to say, as a kid, you look like a thief.
no, that's not what she said. Her fear was, and I keep pointing to Grogu here. Her fear was the potential, and she doesn't want to do that. She's too. Her apprehension. She's not a Jedi. She's actually not a Jedi.
I hate the fact that they always treat everybody who they feel are at risk. By the way, the Force and how their feelings are always wrong. By the way, always wrong. And it's like the dark side clouded our vision of what was going on in the dark. We couldn't see the dark side because the dark side was clouded. But like, dude,
well, I'll answer that once.
fix people.
I'll answer that
help
once we
people.
get further in the episode because
Okay,
you don't
so-
want me to talk
alright,
about
so
that.
Here we go. So further along in the episode. So now he leaves. He's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna help you take on this town, because that's what he says. I'm gonna help you take on this town.
Yeah.
He goes. He pretends like he took out the Jedi, or she pretends that she took him out. But she's shown up with her Terminator moment and said like, all right, you know, hasta la
She's talking to
vista.
Kyle Reese.
Hasta la vista, baby. Yeah, the Kyle Reese. She's talking to Kyle Reese. By the way, we're gonna get to that right now. Exactly. Michael Biehn is now present in this episode, and I was really excited about him being cast for the show. Very underutilized.
Yes, and I kept calling him Hicks the whole time.
He needed
Not
the
Kyle
helmet.
Reese.
He needed the helmet.
Hicks.
He needed the helmet. I felt like Michael Biehn was underutilized. Were you even excited for Michael Biehn to be cast for the show?
No, not really.
Okay, so there you go. So.
How about Michael Biehn getting less screen time than Timothy Olyphant?
Well, the episode was about Timothy Olyphant's character,
Right, so we should have an episode.
Let me ask you. Well, I mean, they didn't cast him for a particular character or role that we were.
I almost feel like he's a Star Wars fan, and he was like, "Hey, can I be in the show?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure, well, come."
Just like Daniel Craig. Just like Daniel Craig was a freaking stormtrooper. I mean, it's like we don't.
I love his part.
You know,
favorite part
it's
of
not
that
so
line.
much underutilized. That's what he wanted. His character wasn't a pivotal one. It wasn't crucial. It really didn't carry.
He had some tension in the scene with the Mandalorian in regards to like, hey, I could switch sides with you depending if we win or lose.
Yeah.
And then he got to a point where he was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna stick with the side that I'm gonna leave.
Because he thought they were gonna win.
I'm gonna leave with the girl that brought me.
Yeah.
So. And he decided like, hey, we're just gonna shoot this out. So I was okay, but I was really excited about him being in the series, and I thought they were gonna do more with him. You didn't care, so the scene being very short, even though it had a lot of tension to it, it left me wanting. You were fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then we get to the big yes, sir.
And we get to the big climax.
Right.
Here. And how do you feel about Diana Lee Inosanto, Bruce Lee's goddaughter?
Yes. I was gonna bring that up.
Playing the magistrate.
I thought it was cool. I ended up having to find that out later on in researching the character itself, that she is Bruce Lee's goddaughter. I thought the fight scene was great. I thought that they spent a lot of time proving to us the durability of Beskar with the staff, and then obviously the fight scene with Ahsoka.
Well, she's from Dathomir,
Okay.
which is where the brain fart. No, the Dark Sisters. That's where the Ninth Sister, Darth Maul. Yes,
I know you're
the son. Yeah. So that's where she's from. So they're familiar with the Force. She's not attuned to the Force, but she's familiar with how fighting the lightsaber.
Right.
She's familiar with fighting someone with Force.
Ninth Sister.
Ninth Sister. Yes. I was having a brain fart at the moment. So because she's from Dathomir. Now remember, the sisters tried taking out Dooku, and Dooku wanted retaliation, so he decimated the planet and tried to kill everybody.
All right.
And they practiced magic / witchcraft, yeah.
Okay.
/ force wielding abilities. So it was a mixture. It was a combination.
So
of things.
she was a worthy adversary to be able to take on Ahsoka.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Well, not really, because she lost. But
I mean, because she did lose. She did
Is she,
lose.
though?
Yeah.
No, you
Well, we don't know that. We don't know
don't
that.
know
But Ahsoka could have taken her out at will. At the end, right?
She could have Dooku'd her.
Yeah. But she could have Dooku'd. But that's that leaves that character open for, we have no idea, because Ahsoka is not a murderer. She's not a killer. She's no longer a Jedi, but she's still Force sensitive. She's attuned, and she's always wanted to do the right thing. Her character was always one. So it wasn't as if she was taking out someone with ill will.
Okay.
She was always had reservations about taking out.
All right. So it does leave us with the name drop, because they do a lot of name drops in here in regards to like your Rebels and your canon books, like your Aftermath and stuff like that. So we got a name drop for Thrawn.
Yeah.
How do you feel about him maybe or maybe not appearing in the series?
Oh man, so if they bring in Thrawn, Ezra Bridger is being brought back. They go hand
so
in
you
hand.
asked, I was going to get to that, and it was like, so if we continue with all the stuff that they brought in from like your Rebels and stuff like that, would we want to see Ezra come
Oh,
back?
definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
That's like I mean,
don't
those
think-
of us
I
Rebels
think- I
didn't have a
don't-
long series life, but the way it really Well, first of all, the Clone Wars, even though it's animated, was not a children's cartoon.
No, it was very dark. That's why
Yeah.
my kids didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, it was, you know, they showed people die. Not just clankers, but they showed troopers die. They showed Jedis die.
Right.
It was just it did have a darker tone. So they had built all that. Then when Rebels picks up, then they carried it even further because it was still animated, but now the dialogue, everything was a much more serious tone. It didn't have a childish, the way season 1 for Clone Wars started off, episode 1.
Okay.
So bringing that back, Ezra Bridger was a huge major part. He pulled on people's heartstrings, especially the way the season ended. I don't want to give any spoilers in case anybody hasn't watched Rebels. That's been out for a couple of years now, a few years. But long story short, Thrawn coming back, it's exciting. That was a villain that you really got to really wanted to see something. Yes, sir.
Who do you cast as Ezra? Who do you cast as Thrawn?
You know what? It's difficult to say.
Thrawn is
Benedict Cumberbatch is Thrawn.
Thrawn is a bunch of blue makeup with red eyes. You can be anybody.
I mean, I would have
You can be
never
anybody.
thought about casting Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka.
Fans help that work.
And so, Thrawn, we don't know because they went.
Fassbender too.
Could be anybody.
Yeah.
It's blue makeup and red eyes. Who
yeah,
cares?
yeah.
Anyway, my thought about the fact that the name drop of Thrawn and the fact that we might possibly get an Ezra out of this series is that this now becomes Rebels 2.0.
But so what?
I don't want it. We were originally talking about the fact that Dave Filoni is expanding the canon.
But the thing about you is you
Mandalorian.
like to put things in a box and just say everything
No,
either
I'm trying
falls
to
in
take
box.
it out of the box. Dave Filoni's trying to put it back in a box. He's trying to put it in a Rebels box.
Have you seen Rebels?
He's trying to put it in
Have
a
you seen Rebels?
I don't need to see Rebels because this ain't Rebels. This is Mandalorian.
No, have you?
I don't need to see
So-
Rebels.
so-
That's a good point.
If you haven't
Also,
seen,
you-
hold on.
right,
If
go
you
ahead.
haven't seen Rebels and yet you want to say, "Oh, this is Rebels 2.0," you have no idea
You're
because
gonna bring
now-
every Rebels character back.
it's like two people arguing about saying, "Man, I would
Ahsoka,
never buy a Lamborghini.
no,
That only goes
Thrawn,
6.7.
Ezra.
I'd get a Ferrari
You
instead."
got like 4
You're wasting your
characters you're
money.
trying to bring back into this series, and we haven't
He's
really.
tying the. He's bringing
Nah,
continuity.
you name dropping
We did
people.
not have. We didn't have any continuity in 7, 8, and 9.
Okay.
And you know that there was no continuity.
Yes.
And now
We've
we're
had a conversation about that.
and now we're getting somebody.
Yes, 8, 9.
We're getting continuity being built on now that Disney owns, right? Star Wars. And at first, we lost. There was a lot of fans who were upset. I won't say we lost fans because we're Star Wars fans. No matter what, we're gonna watch it. But this is now bringing something that we can all starting to tie everything together.
Okay.
And this is what we were lacking. This is what as much as people want to crap on 1, 2, and 3, episode 1, 2, and 3, there was consistency, and there was
because it was written all by the same people.
yeah, well, exactly. And but there was an agreement of how the movies were going, right?
Right.
7, 8,
There was a
9,
plan, yes.
7, 8, and 9 left us all scratching our heads like, what the heck? Now we're starting to see, oh, okay, wow, this is happening.
They're kind of filling the gaps.
Yeah.
I get that point.
And
I
so-
get that point. But
so-
I feel like the filling of the gaps for the sequel saga takes away from the fact of what this was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a story about the Mandalorian.
Was it?
I feel like it was, and that's what I signed up for.
What?
I didn't sign up for Rebels 2.0, which is what I'm calling it right now, Rebels 2.0.
And-
But what they did in episode 2, chapter 2, what they did in chapter 2, which was they were like, hey, Fett's alive. We're leaving the planet. We don't care. We just left it out there. I want them to go, hey, Thrawn's a thing. Hey, Ezra might be out there. Who knows? Ahsoka, get your own spinoff. Then we'll talk about that.
Well, you want immediate answers right away.
No, I don't want to be the answers. I don't want Fett to be really discussed. I don't want Thrawn to be looked after. I don't want to follow
Hey.
Ahsoka to find Thrawn, and I don't want to see Ezra.
I didn't want to
Ahsoka, get your
know.
own show.
We had this discussion like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I did not want to know about the Kessel Run.
But we got it in.
And we got it, and it ruined it.
Yeah, it
Okay?
did. So I don't want to know about Thrawn, and I don't want to know about Ezra, and I don't want to know about Fett. I want to go Mandalorian.
I'm okay with that.
Give me a
because
Fett TV show. Give me an Ahsoka TV
I'm
show. Then we can talk about it.
well, you're gonna have to have continuity for all those to tie
No,
together.
you name drop it, then we talk about it.
So
all right.
So the thing is, they're just leaving it out there.
You're good with nostalgia, but just keep it as nostalgia.
Yeah,
Don't
just
further
name
on-
drop it and just get. Look, what they did with Fett, they was like, hey, look, guys, he's alive.
But it's a Mandalorian.
But we're leaving. Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
He's a Mandalorian.
No, we don't know that. Lucas already said that.
They haven't clarified this yet.
What about the Luke cameo? That's a potential.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there
yet.
All right, so let's get to the end of this episode. All right, so that way we can start talking about all this other things that we've been kind of touching on. So for the Luke episode, so for the end of the episode, he's now going to turn over Grogu, begrudgingly saying that, over to Ahsoka. Ahsoka's like, I can't train him, even though I already told you that. You should take him because he looks at you as a father figure, and that's what the show has been definitely setting up. Their relationship has become stronger. He listens when he's told, even though they can't really talk to each other. Also, too, it kind of felt like we knew that was going to happen. That she wasn't going to leave with him. She wasn't going to train him. But
Did we know that?
I kind of felt that from the beginning. It's like that wasn't going to be the thing. She's looking for Thrawn anyway and Ezra. So she was like, go to, what was the planet name? Tython. Go to Tython. There's a Jedi, because that's where like the Jedi.
It wasn't a Jedi temple. She said there's a temple there that has a strong connection to the Force.
But that's where the Jedi were started from.
No.
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 I could have swore that's was, and that was what we touched on in the Old Republic.
Let me clarify. Okay. So, the one of the oldest Jedi temples was in Octu. That's where Luke Skywalker was, right?
Okay.
So that is the oldest Jedi temple. Now, Tython, where the temple there was home to the Jedi, which is two eyes at the end.
Which was like the precursor to the
Jedi. They predated the Jedi. So they practiced, and this was talked about in the Clone Wars. And that's why all this ties together. So Tython, they practiced three forms of the Force. They practiced the light side, the dark side, and a combination of both. The combination of both.
The Gray Jedi thing.
Well, before we jump into that, so and forgive me, there's three names that they give for each practitioner, right? But the strongest ones were the ones that yielded to both. So what ends up happening is the practitioners of the Jedi, right, that leave Tython are the founders of the Jedi that practice only the light side, which is why there's so much cloud in there. Like, it doesn't make any sense because they were only one-sided. The original practitioners of the Force that predated the Jedi were the Jedi, right? And so this is talked about in the Clone Wars. And so sending them to Tython is the oldest temple there, which is really cool because when you think about it, she says there, he's going to be able to reach out to in the Force, right? But we don't know if it's, you're going to put out a signal out there. It's going to attract both light and dark, right? Okay. So this leaves it open to so many people because we know not all the Jedi were killed in Order 66. Okay. We have survivors of Order 66. Right. So now this is where it's getting pretty interesting. Right. Because now are we going to touch, what else are they going to start linking together to make a little more sense? Now we know that Bo-Katan she's not over with. You're not going to bring in a character like that.
I think they're going to bring Bo-Katan back. Well, let's talk theories here. So when we obviously get there in this season, we get to the temple. And then there's the reach out to the Force. Who do you think will contact? Because there either could be no contact, and then we continue on the rest of the Mandalorian with just road trip with me and you, Grogu, for the rest of the series. Or there is a contact, but is it a contact from the light side or the dark side? So who are your thoughts as far as who could make a contact if that is the case?
So there's numerous ones. I know Sebastian Shaw was being talked about as bringing him in as Luke Skywalker.
No, don't do that.
No, well, I'm just saying there's talks. I mean, there's rumors. Okay. Right? We don't know how serious it is, those rumors.
Though I could see it, but don't do it.
We don't know if Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson, has been hinting that he wants to come back.
Hey, look, he's been pumping the fact that Mace ain't dead.
Yeah, Mace ain't dead. We don't know if he's just tired of his Capital One commercials or not. I need some real coin. I need real coin in my pocket.
I gotta get that Star Wars money.
We don't know. Asajj Ventress is still out there.
Okay.
She's on the dark side. Okay. And since they're tying in so many things from the Clone Wars and bringing a closure, I guess a connection between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Okay.
So they're bringing in and giving us closure. This would be a great way to answer. I mean, we talked about Ezra Bridger. If she's looking for Thrawn, Ezra Bridger is also tied. That'd be kind of cool that
To have Ezra show up.
yeah.
Okay.
That's another prospect.
Rebels 2.0.
Well, I mean, you could technically say Rebels is actually Clone Wars 2.0 animated
Yes,
series.
right?
Right?
Rebels
so then,
3.0.
So then this could be Rebels 3.0 or Clone Wars 3.0. So there's plenty of others. They can bring in what's his name from the Jedi from Fallen Order from the video game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Cal, what's his name? Seer is still alive, as well from the video game.
I didn't fit. I actually haven't played Jedi Order. I was supposed to buy it this weekend. I didn't buy it because they had the Black Friday special.
They had a Black Friday special. You could get the Deluxe edition.
Yes, I should have bought it.
So there's so many different ones. It'd be pretty cool if they brought in Cal. Like that would be amazing if they brought.
I would prefer that, but I want the series to not lose focus. I don't want it to branch out to be just a Jedi show. I want it to.
Well, we don't know.
Be...
Yeah, we have no idea what we could be. It could be someone either a dark Jedi or a Sith. Because there's a difference between a Sith and a dark Jedi.
For me, if it is not Sam Jack, because that's the only person I want.
Oh my God!
If it's not Sam Jack, I want nobody to answer.
So,
or
if they brought,
I want Force Ghost to answer.
If they brought, oh my God, no.
That's not bad.
I want Force Ghost because I don't want to start just like taking everybody's focus from them.
Yeah, I get it.
Force Ghost can talk to me,
but we have no idea.
It
it's like you can't get upset with what's gonna happen.
I know I can't be upset until I find out how it plays out.
Exactly.
What
I don't want is this because we have no idea what's gonna transpire.
I know what I want, though.
There's so many things that we don't want, and then when we get it, it's surprisingly good.
Yes, this show has impressed me on levels that I didn't think it would, even when my first interpretation of the show was going to be one thing, and even though it kind of went another direction, I have been happy with what they give to me. That doesn't mean I'm going to accept everything, but right now you're good. All right, so
that's like talking to a kid. You're a kid. I'm going to take what you.
I'm taking this okay for right now.
Yeah.
Don't do it again.
Don't do it again.
Don't do it again. All right, so last bit of fan theories for the rest where we're going in this show.
Fan theories for me, if they did bring back Thrawn, once again, Ezra Bridger, Mace Windu would be, I'd be blown away. I don't want to see Luke. I mean, this is kind of.
I mean, he's at this point he should matter, and if we're gonna talk Jedis, you would have figured that Ahsoka would be like, "Hey, go talk to Luke." You know, he's a big deal right now. He just kind of took down the Empire.
Yeah, he just took down the Empire. This is the period. I mean, the Mandalorian is taking place of the period of when Luke is looking for Force-sensitive people.
Which also brings me to the question: it's like, why is she not with Luke? They don't really answer that.
They've never met. They've never met. Maybe Thrawn kills her.
I heard the Empire went down by a Jedi. Hold on, let me go see who this guy is.
Yeah. We have no.
By the way, I heard the Empire was ruling the galaxy. Let me not do anything. Anything.
So we have no idea, right? This is when Luke is looking for people so he can rebuild the Empire, right?
Jedi Order.
The Jedi, what I said, the Empire, the Jedi Order.
Yeah, the Empire, Jedi.
The Empire, same side because in Episode 7, apparently the Order has
kicking Episode 7 wives down whenever you can. But anyway,
Manny,
did you have another thing that you wanted to bring up before we wrap this up?
Nope, you had it all.
Okay, had it all. All right.
Well, one thing I look forward to, is I would love to see what's happening with. Some of the surviving old clone troopers.
Okay, which we're probably gonna get touched on with Tamara Morrison. I don't think the Fett cameo was enough. I think we're gonna get Commander Rex at some point.
At some point, I'm hoping we get something to answer those as well. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Dave Filoni is doing a great job. I mean, outstanding. You know who I'm impressed with their directing skills is Bryce Dallas Howard.
Really? She had the weakest episode, and look, we're back on chapter 3, and I didn't like chapter 3. But I feel like her episode was the weakest one so far. I feel like chapter 4 was way better than chapter 3.
The weakest one was not her. Episode 2. Season 2, episode 2. All the eggs being eaten.
You know, I felt like some Timothy Olaf.
You didn't like the passenger?
Timothy Oliphant's.
That was good. The Marshal?
Yeah.
That was good.
That was chapter 2, right?
That's episode.
That's
That was part 1.
Yeah.
Okay. The Marshal was part 1?
Season
Okay.
2, episode 1.
Okay, so
That's the
2
Marshal.
was that's when he left the plant. 2 was the
egg.
Oh, but it set up some things as far
It
as
did.
it set up some things as far as with the rebellion.
It really,
and
you
what
can
they're doing.
remove that whole scene, that whole episode. You can remove.
No. She's
Bryce
in.
Dallas Howard wasn't the
That was 3. That was chapter 3.
Oh, so that's the one that she directed with Sasha.
With Sasha Banks, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
He's saying that's one
That
of
was
the
the
weakest
weakest episode. It was
season 2 was the, I mean,
basically show
episode
up,
2
tell
was
me
the
what I need to
weakest.
know and let me go.
Episode 2 was, but the spider thing was cool though.
It was cool, but what I'm
I
saying.
like what they set up for the
but
rebellion in that.
But you can remove everything out of episode 2, and it did not carry the film forward at all.
You can remove everything that happened in chapter 3.
No, you cannot.
Except for the fact that Bo-Katan showed up and told him, go here.
Well, once again, because
Go
you didn't
here.
watch the Clone Wars, you weren't certain why they couldn't remove their helmet.
This is the problem with episode 9 where I'm saying it was a fetch quest. I know you showed up here looking for me, but go there.
No, see, once again, you gotta watch the stuff before you critique it.
Technically, that's the same thing Ahsoka did. It was like, I know you came talk to me about training him and taking him. I was like, go there. Fetch quest. But anyway.
Fet quest.
A Fett quest. There you go.
A Fet quest.
All right, so that's all we got as far as kind of getting you guys caught up if you're only watching us for Star Wars news, which we know you're not. So, but at least our takes as far as where chapter 3, 4, and 5 has put us in the Mandalorian series, and all our thoughts about what may come for the future for the show. So, if this is the first time that you're watching the channel and you're a kind of quasi Star Wars fan and you chose us to watch it, we thank you. But make sure you subscribe so that way you can see all the other things that we do on the channel. Make sure you click the notification bell so that way it notifies you when we upload something.
Yeah, you didn't pitch me anything to say.
There you go. You got tons of stuff to say.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, if you're still watching this, because it's a pretty lengthy episode, we wanted to keep it short.
I know. This is 15 minutes.
You can obviously tell that we're really passionate about our fandom. Even though I critique him, I look upon him as a lesser because I'm a master. He's still a Padawan when it comes to the whole Jedi thing.
In Harry Potter, what would I be called?
A Muggle.
A Muggle.
No, you're not a Muggle. You're not a Muggle. I just like to tease that you are, because we're very passionate about what we view. I mean, we get this way regardless of any topic you throw. But especially Star Wars, we're not one of those shows that gets everything, wants to have everything and look like we know what we're the experts on. We like to just...
That's not us.
That's not us at all. We like to be honest and real and talk about it. So tell us what you think. Tell us who's right, who's wrong. Maybe there's something that we didn't miss. Maybe you interpreted us seeing a different way. And if you agree with me, go ahead and tell me so he knows he's wrong.
There you go. All right. So for Manny sitting on the sideline and Carla sitting right next to him, very quiet right now. I'm Terrence.
I'm Art.
And may the force be with you.
And also with you.
Wait, guys, are you still here? I'm glad you're still here. All right, so if you look down, I mean, it's somewhere over here. Look down. We actually have a Patreon. So if you guys watch the show and you really like what we want to do and you want to help support the show and you want to help me get an editor so I can get to sleep at night because I'm really tired and you guys see all my mistakes in the episodes. So please go to patreon.com/thegoods. Give us a penny, give us a nickel, give us $1.
Just don't give us the finger.
Don't do that. But make sure you do donate something because we do have some giveaways. There's posters, there's t-shirts, there's...
I'll sign something for you.
Exactly. So take a look, guys, and